Exercise number 2, Sacral Chakra. So that first question was, am I happy and at peace with myself? Second question, do I love and accept myself? If not, why? So to answer that question, I will say that I am happier than I have ever been. As it pertains to my own sense of happiness. And that means that my contentment is really based right now on myself and no one else right now. Ooh, this light is bright. I'm going to turn it off. And I think there definitely were times where I believed or I had illusions of what I thought being happy was. And in those particular moments in my life, I believe I based that happiness on my connections or on certain situational circumstances that were, happening at that time that felt good. But now I search, I think, most for intentionality and reasons that I have to be really glad and happy and grateful in life. Every morning when I get up, it's my mission to find, number one, simplicity. Simplicity is my friend right now and maybe forevermore. And I find most beautiful moments and those moments that are happiest are simple. Things like just being out and about, being in the park under a tree, being under many trees, and watching animals live and doodle along and do what they do, move and just being in the presence of my children, just watching them as they grow and become more independent and even, watching them make their mistakes. And watching them learn from those mistakes. I get joy out of things like that, and there's a part of me that just enjoys simple things. Simplicity is life. And the fact that I was just able to get out of bed by myself and was able to direct my day the way that I wanted, my day to go. I was able to make that decision. I chose, right? And so for me, definitely more than ever, simplicity is my best friend. And she keeps me happy and thankful and peaceful. Yes, all of the above. Now, the second question was, do I love myself and accept myself? Now, this too, I feel, has been a constant work in progress, just like happiness and peace. It's a learning. And just like my happiness and my understanding around these things has evolved. Most definitely, it has evolved along with me. And so when it comes to loving and accepting who I am, I'm evolving. Just recently, I have had experiences and taken opportunities to engage with myself as I look into the mirror, and when I seem to pass by a mirror real quick, or I catch a reflection of myself, or when I get up in the morning and I'm sitting there getting myself together, I intently look at myself. I look at myself and I see all of the details in my face, the imprints, the marks, the lines. I intentionally smile. I look at my teeth, my nose, and I look at my reflection and I show deep appreciation for myself. And when I'm looking at my full body, I look and I embrace every curve, every dimple, every mark that comes on my body, because those are things that came through my life experiences, right? One of my greatest experiences, having children. I've learned to look at those things about myself and just love them and embrace them. It is my uniqueness. It is my expression to life, to this life that I have lived and that I have loved and that I have given life. And I don't think it's comparable to anything or anyone else. It's mine. It's my uniqueness. And so, yes, I love and accept myself. Even going to my personalities, my quirks, the goofiness that I have, all of that. Yes, I do. Have I always loved and accepted myself? No. There's been times where I compared myself or rejected myself, right? But we're not there no more. The older I get, the more I come to understand the true meaning of existing and how many different ways we're blessed just to be here. And we live life uniquely according to what we need and to the things that we're sensitive to and things that shake our consciousness, and we open up to different awarenesses that we have the opportunity to see. And it's different for each of us. We all have different ways of coming to that realization. The way that I look at things, I can truly say that yes, I'm definitely more happier than I've ever been, more peaceful with myself than I have ever been my whole entire life. And of course, it took me 50 years to get here. Nevertheless, I'm here. I have arrived. And there are things that still bother me. There's things that come up that maybe I didn't realize was still there. And we just take them as they come. But with my new mindset, right, I'm seeing them differently. I see life differently. And I understand that everything is as it's supposed to be right now. And so this is what I have. And I won't dare waste my life waiting on something or waiting on someone that may never in fact happen. It may never in fact come around. But I have this moment right now to experience the fullness of my right now and all that it has to offer. So yes, I do feel like I've evolved, if I can say that. And I can say that I guess I have a prescription that I've culminated for life, for myself. When it comes to existentialism, I guess I can use that word in this case. My recipe is simplicity plus awareness plus gratitude. That's what equals, or that's what leads me to my level of contentment and happiness and fulfillment and self-love and self-acceptance, right? We're ever evolving, we're ever growing, we're ever becoming aware, but through that we have to decide to intentionally make the decision to accept it as it is and be thankful for it. Be thankful for it. I think for the most part, even in situations where we have had like the perfect upbringing that showed us the way, you know, you may have went to a boarding school, you know, that taught you how to be the utmost citizen, you know. For girls, they may have taught you to be the perfect young lady, and how you are to dress, and how you are to stand and walk, and, you know, things that you should and should not do. Same for the boys. You may have went to a place where you learned all these things. But the simple matter is, like, once you reach a certain level in life, for some of it's sooner than later, we're confronted with ourselves, and all that stuff goes out the window. Because really, when it comes down to it, it's programming. Anything that we pull in outside of ourselves is just programming. But what's born from within, then now we're talking. Now we're talking about our true self coming out. And it's not hiding those things. Sometimes those things are going to be it's going to go against everything that you have been programmed to be or learn. It may in fact be counterclockwise or counterproductive, you know, but it's authentic. And so we come face to face at some point in time with our true selves. Yeah, those things can help us along the way, but I feel like we all come to a moment where we meet ourselves, and that self is composed with everything that we have come to be, everything that we've experienced and learned and know about ourselves, and we're faced with it, and we are made to choose whether or not we want to receive that and evolve from that. And so, yeah, there were some of us that were given the best of the best, but yet the experience, we all have to come to ourselves at some point in our lives, and that's when truth is born. That's when truth happens. And so being able to ask yourself, you know, am I happy? And the truth of the matter is, it doesn't have a lot to do with none of that external stuff. Like, it's about going within and accepting whatever the plight is. Like, happiness is not contingent upon, happiness is contingent upon what's happening at that moment in time. It's circumstantial, honestly. But joy is something that we choose, in my opinion, right? It's something that we choose no matter what it looks like, no matter what we're going through, no matter what we do or do not have. It's a choice. It's intentional. And so, and it's also learned. It's a choice. This is a great question. I enjoyed this because it causes us to really look and ask ourselves the question, are we content right now? And if you are not, it brings up that energy so that you can deal with it. What will it take to get you there? Right? Working with the Sacral Chakra might be one of the greatest opportunities that we have, because therein lies this outpour of innate contentment that lies within us. I think that's why that follow-up question is important. Do you accept yourself? Do you love yourself? Do you even know what you have at your potential? Do you even know what you hold within you? Do you realize what you have? That alone, like without anything else outside of yourself, is enough to stand on. That alone, what you hold within you. So these are great questions. And if you're not, if you're not evolving to a place where you fully accept yourself, there's still lots of discontentment. Maybe there's things that you look at in the mirror that you want to change. That's okay too. We're all a work in process. We're all evolving, but we have to start somewhere. I feel like this is a great place. And if you are, listen, welcome to the party. Listen, carry on. And so this is my answer for question number 1, and we'll come back for one of the other questions. I don't know if I'm going to do question number 2, but I'll choose one of the 5 to come back and discuss openly as well. So I'll see you in the next question part of this segment, okay? All right, now when it comes to this next question, I feel like this one is a loaded question. And so working with the Sacral Chakra is, as I mentioned, such a delicate yet powerful and deep part of the energy system, as they all are. But I feel like this will definitely resonate for a lot of people because it's so applicable to today's situations, even to the culture that we live in, that we're talking about some of the energies that are existing within our Sacral Chakra. And so, first of all, I'm really liking this exercise because I believe that speaking and voicing things or voicing what it is that we're trying to heal from and is so important. It's also trying to bring certain things towards us and bring things into our lives. Using the voice is such a great powerful way to do that. It speaks to different parts of the energy system, but there is such a great level of potential and power that we hold within our voice. Speaking for me is huge, right? Hence, Letty Speaks. But it's being able to, first of all, acknowledge these things, which is huge and major for me. And for me, that is part of the healing process. As I've stated, releasing has been a major part of my healing journey that I'm on. And I feel like many of us are probably on that. And so I decided to go to exercise number 5, which asks us to list a list of things that we want to release from our lives, along with what we're going to state is there's going to be a specific way we're going to say it. I release, right? We're going to add what it is that we want to release, and then we're going to end it with completely and totally, okay? We're going to insert whatever we're going to release between those two things. It can include people, things, places, feelings. Anything is up for grabs, and it's open to your own interpretation and your own need, okay? But before we go in, I do want to point out that the Sacral Chakra, some of the things that can happen in the Sacral Chakra area, one of which is that we can experience blocks in this area. And we can experience blocks in all of the centers, but specifically today we're talking about the Sacral Chakra. And for some of those blocks, that would mean not having the ability to tune into our emotions, right? It could show up that way. It doesn't always have to be, that, but it's being able or not being able to do that, or be open to show emotions. Maybe you grew up in an environment where emotion wasn't encouraged, or allowing yourself to feel things that make you feel good or pleasure seeking was discouraged or pressed down or suppressed in some type of way. And it doesn't always just have to be sexual, it could be anything. Maybe you just never learned, you know, how to express your emotions openly, honestly, healthily. And so maybe there was some possible major emotional issues within the household. And so you grew up in a place where you were subjected like to unhealthy, maybe it was too much or not enough emotional stimulation or energy, right? Things like that can block the ability to have intimate relationships, healthy relationships, or just properly connect with people in an emotional way. And those that don't really feel, you know, creative, it's important to understand that that's not true, because we're all born with the flow of some type of creativity, every last one of us, in some type of way, right? And that may be as a result of a blocked chakra, the reason why that energy is not able to flow from that creative center, okay? Or maybe there just wasn't the opportunity to nurture that innate quality that you have. And then this also can happen later in life as well, as a result of experiencing painful relationships or breakups. And we can just choose to just shut down after a painful experience and not allow ourselves to feel anymore. Maybe we didn't get, you know, the proper support around that healing of that incident that happened, whatever that experience was, right? And so there can be like several different types of reasons why a blocked chakra, sacral chakra, can come into play, or why they would develop, you know, around things like rejection when we come into our sexuality, or some type of exploitation while we're coming into our sexuality, right? Things like that can result in a blocked chakra, a blocked sacral chakra. And so in other blocked chakras as well, not just the sacral, but so we're talking about that one today. And so there are those of us also that are sensitive, which are more likely to experience things like pain or emotional overstimulation. This can sometimes cause an imbalance within relationships and the inability to experience things like sensing pleasure, physically or otherwise. Now, on the other side of that is an overloaded sacral chakra, which is the exact opposite. And for those that find it hard to experience or allow themselves to open up in that way, this is the opposite of the blocked chakra. These are those who are overly emotional. You know, life sometimes demands an emotional response, but when it comes to an overloaded sacral chakra, this can actually show up like a particular energy that just is overflowing all of the time, which could mean like going through mood swings all the time, or being overly emotional, reacting to things that doesn't necessarily demand that level of emotion, all the way to this full-blown need to just have everything in excess, you know. That's where things like addictions and overeating comes from. And so for the sacral chakra, I feel like this happens when the overload takes place. It can result in being overstimulated many times early in life, and being encouraged to show emotion for every single thing, even when it's not called for. While in overloaded sacral chakra, people could experience this overflow of this creative energy, right? There's also, even though that's beautiful, there's also with that a struggle to control their feelings and their passions, and sometimes it overrides even common sense, you know. And so this is the very opposite of having the blocked chakra. And as I delved into this particular exercise, I went in and kind of assessed some things that I want to release in my life, and continue to release, right, in my life. I did make a list, and I don't mind, sharing that. They're not exactly personal. They're not too personal. But, I'm open to share that. And it could be helpful. Maybe there's someone that's, releasing some of the things that I'm releasing. That's how I feel. And so I don't mind being open. We all probably have a list of things that we are trying to release or we desire to let go of and release. And so I'm going to go ahead and list some of the things that I feel led to expound on. When that happens, I will. If not, I'll just go to the next one. So my first one that was brought up was that I release any guilt that I have carried around my Sacral Chakra entirely and completely. Now, this was the very first one that came to mind, and this came up for me because as I kind of meditated a moment, I definitely could see how my Sacral Chakra has been affected by my relationships that I've had in the past. There's been possible things around responsibilities with my body, choices that I've made in regards to my body, and even in some cases mishandlings, that may have happened. And so this is definitely something that struck a chord for me, that was close to my heart. Releasing any guilt around that is part of the healing for me, because we have a right to feel. Yes, every last one of us, we have a right to feel pain. We have a right to be open. We have a right to feel pleasure. We have a right to feel good. And none of that demands any level of guilt. If there is any level against feeling any of that, then yeah, maybe there is some healing and some releasing that needs to be done. Okay? And any struggle with opening up and knowing when to close down, right? Any guilt around that, I feel like there might be some things that may need a closer look. And so that's definitely one area that I'm definitely working on and constantly releasing and renewing my commitment to myself in that area. Now, I also release the need to look outside of myself for my peace, totally and completely. Now, with this, something I've definitely worked really hard on, just coming into peace with myself and really honing in and pulling my power back, calling my power back from places where I have possibly gave my power away in many different ways, and I've acknowledged myself and my need and my responsibility to myself, and I needed to release that. I released that. And what may look like is you, or what that looks like is allowing someone to tell you what's good for you, or being dependent upon someone else's approval of something concerning you that really you should be looking within for, right? So many times we're looking outside of ourselves for the go ahead, or the good job, the pat on the back, which is good. That's good. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but there should really be that should be the icing on the cake. Most of that many times can and should come from within, internally motivated. Not that those things are bad. That's not what I'm saying, right? It's good to get accolades and to be uplifted and supported, you know, to have advice given to you. It's actually really wise to surround yourself with a multitude of counselors, right? That's wise. But to give away all of your power means to become so outwardly dependent that when you don't have a multitude of counselors, or when the counsel being given doesn't align with your truth, right, you don't know what to do. Giving your power away. Now the next one was, I release people that I have held hostage to my unforgiveness, totally and completely, right? And what that was saying for me is that forgiveness is for me, right? It's for me. It's for you when you forgive. And one of the questions was, what are some of the things, I think it was question number 4, was what negativity am I holding in my womb, that's the Sacral Chakra, or my reproductive organs? I feel like you can actually hold unforgiveness in, and it stores in different parts of our body, right? And that unforgiveness actually can turn into the physical representation of that energy, right? That's what I believe. I'm not saying that it's true. That's what I believe, and that's how I see energy. But what if some of the distresses that we feel in our body, like when we talk about heart failure or kidney disease, some of the things that we suffer in our body is partly as a result of an unhealthy energy residing within, an unresolved energy, right? Because remember, each of these energy centers directly connect to certain parts of our body and the things inside of our body. Right now we're talking about the Sacral Chakra, which is connected to our reproductive organs, our bladder, our kidneys, everything down there in that area is absolutely important for a woman. And there's some things down there important for men as well. And so if our spirit and the energy that we carry is not healthy, what is it doing to our bodies? Possibly, right? That's a question. And so forgiveness, right, is for us. And on so many different levels, when it comes to our mental peace, when it comes to unblocking energy centers, right? So that we can create, right? Especially as it pertains to this energy center. And so that was definitely one that came up for me. I'll share a couple of more. I release any unrealistic expectations that I have placed on myself or on others, totally and completely. Now, this one was huge too. I guess all of them were. They're all important to me. But this one was huge because I think many times we place our happiness in everybody else's hands. We place it in someone else's hands when we're really the only ones that have the ability to make ourselves happy, right? Happiness is an inside job. I think the best relationships are those where both parties are whole and happy before they decide to come together, and they don't enter into the relationship looking for the other to fulfill something within them that they have the ability to feel within themselves, or that they already have that's been fulfilled already within them. You have two completely whole people coming together, right, with this very content energy within themselves. So instead of coming to me or me going to you looking for something, for you to do something for me, you know, when we come together, we're actually ending up adding and complementing each other, right? We're coming to give something. not expecting anything, right? And then on top of that, like when we put our expectations on other people, it really is like setting ourselves up for disappointment, isn't it? It is. Because no matter how much that person loves you, no matter how much that person cares for you or wants the very best for you, that person may want to give you the world and the moon and the stars. There's going to be times when they fail. Shoot, they fail themselves often. So how do you feel like what you look like placing them on a pedestal, right? Like they're going to, be able to come through and meet all of your expectations. It's just unrealistic. Even for yourself, it's unrealistic. And so that's one of the lessons that I've learned over the years. And I've come to learn that that's something that I'm working on releasing. Expectations, right? When it comes to just everyday, ordinary relationships too. It doesn't have to be intimate, right? Releasing judgment and allowing people to just be and just observe, right? Now, if they come to you for help and ask your opinion, then I give it. But otherwise, I'm just observing. And then I'll share one more. I release the tendency to put others above myself totally and completely. Okay. Now, I think that's a beautiful one as well. It seems like coming back to self-love, and that's a huge one. It's all about loving ourselves and prioritizing ourselves in the correct way and knowing when it's time to put ourselves at the top of our priority list. Now, I'm not saying that you won't ever put anyone above yourself, because, right, we're parents, we're grandparents, we're sisters, we're daughters. There's times where we will, but it's knowing and not losing yourself in prioritizing others above yourself. It's knowing and not feeling like you have to become a martyr, or the sacrificial lamb, No. You don't have to be the hero, right? It's understanding that. And so that's one of the things that I am placing out and speaking out into the atmosphere and releasing as well. So if you did this exercise, I hope it was as helpful for you as it has been for me. As I stated, I do believe that speaking things out, the voice is powerful. And I do believe that we are able to indeed speak things into existence, even our own healing. And so in releasing things, right? And so all of these lists or these things that you listed, imagine those things just sailing away in a bubble of love, right? Things that you no longer need. Maybe you needed them at one time, but you don't need them anymore, okay? Yes, and so this was our second energy center, our Sacral Chakra. All right. Thank you for joining me for this exercise. If you enjoyed this and you're looking to follow along, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified whenever I whenever I post more content on this, okay? All right, y'all. Thank you for stopping in. Feel free to comment if you feel it, okay? Take care of yourselves until our next meeting.